This is a nest in a tree in my backyard with 3 blue robin's eggs in it. And a few days later, we had 3 beautiful baby robins. But for you to understand the whole story, we need to back it up and take it from the beginning. What happened was we started to notice 2 robins in our backyard, and as we watched them, we noticed that they were going in and out of a particular spruce tree. So I took a look in the tree, and sure enough, there was a nest in it. And I kept an eye on that nest every day for several days until finally one day, wow, there it was, the most beautiful blue egg I had ever seen. And the day after that, there was a second egg, and the day after that, there was a third egg. The mother robin sat on those eggs every day for about 2 weeks, and at one point when she wasn't in the nest, I installed a GoPro that I could remotely control so that I could keep an eye on her. And one morning when I turned on the camera, I was delighted to find that 2 of the eggs had hatched at some point since the last time I checked on them the night before. Now at this point there were only 2 babies, and I couldn't see a third egg, but it turns out that it was just hidden under those 2 babies, because later that day I finally saw a third baby that hadn't been there earlier. I never did have the camera rolling when any of the eggs hatched, but I'm pretty happy with the video I got of the babies after they had hatched. As you can see, on that first day when they hatch, they have just a few feathers. They're really kind of goofy looking. Their eyes have not opened up at this point, but they can definitely hear. I could see them react when they heard Mom arriving back at the nest after hunting for food. This is video of the babies the next day. You can see the eyes still haven't opened up yet. Mom spent a lot of time just sitting in the nest and keeping her babies warm. As far as I could tell, Dad never performed this task, only Mom. Both Mom and Dad were involved in hunting for food for the babies and feeding it to them. This clip shows it perfectly, with Mom standing by as Dad feeds the kids. Now we've jumped ahead a couple of days. The babies are 5 days old here. You can see they still don't have much in the way of feathers, but they're a little bigger and stronger. You're just about to see here how Mom keeps the nest from getting full of baby bird poop. So this is kind of gross the first time you see it, but here's how it works. Right after feeding, each of the babies takes turns raising their rumps and pooping, and whichever parent is doing the feeding will just grab that poop with their beak and swallow it. That's just how they do it. Sorry if you just got grossed out there, but every parent, human parents, animal parents, they all clean up baby poop one way or the other. Luckily, humans have hands and invented diapers. Birds, they just have to use their beaks. This is a video clip from later on that same day, and in this clip you can clearly see that the babies have their eyes open. Again, they're 5 days old at this point. This is Mom feeding them. I can tell the 2 parents apart because Dad has a much brighter orange chest. Another clip from that same day. Here's Dad out on our lawn gathering worms, and then delivering them to the nest and feeding the babies. And you're going to see in a minute here that he cleans up the poop too. Now it's 2 days later. The babies are 1 week old here. You can see that they've got more feathers now, and they're more vocal too. I'm going to show you another clip in just a minute here where Mom brings them some really big insect. I don't even know what that is, but look at the size of it. It's so big, the babies are having trouble swallowing it. Finally, one of them manages to do it. Don't worry, even though only one got fed here, she'll go right back out, find something else for them, and be right back to feed the others. 2 more days have passed now. The babies are 9 days old. It was a very windy day. You can see the tree moving around a lot. This is Dad feeding the babies this time. And what I find interesting about this clip is that after he feeds them, he's waiting around for someone to poop, and nobody does. So he's waiting and waiting. And finally he moves a little closer just so he doesn't miss it if it happens. But it never does. So off he goes. And later that same day, here's something we're seeing for the first time. One of the babies practicing flapping his or her wings. They're really growing up here. This is the next day. Dad flying in with a worm. The babies are 10 days old now. You can see the feathers getting a little more developed with each day, and they sure have gotten vocal at feeding time. Later that same day, here's Mom with the babies. Now that they've got feathers to keep them warm, and also it's the end of May, and the weather's nice and warm, so she doesn't have to sit on top of them to keep them warm, but sometimes she just likes to sit on the edge of the nest and watch them sleep. And in this clip, look at how much more developed these babies are now than they were just a week earlier. Moving on to the next day, with the babies at 11 days old now, I like this particular video clip because as that one baby closest to the camera flaps his wings, you can really see how well the orange coloring on the chest has developed at this point. And later that same day, lots of stretching of wings and preening going on here, and that nest is getting really crowded. The next day, look at how big they've gotten. They look like real birds now. Nice coloring, well-developed feathers. They're 12 days old here. Look at this. Later that same day, one of them has climbed out of the nest and onto a branch next to the nest. Is that because the nest is just too crowded now, or because these guys are just about ready to learn to fly? Here's another clip from that same day where one of them does that same kind of thing again. And another clip from that day. This is actually from a second camera that I placed on the other side of the tree. It seemed to me like the birds were getting very close to leaving the nest. I hoped that with 2 cameras, I might have a better chance of getting it on video. Okay, here we are the next day with the babies 13 days old now. I'm going to just tell you right now that this is the day that all 3 babies leave the nest. Look at these 2 being very curious about the world around them, including the camera. Now, unfortunately, even with 2 cameras, I managed to miss the moment that the first baby flew out of the nest. You can see here that one's gone, one's seriously thinking about following, and the other is more reluctant and happy to have the nest all to himself. But pay attention to how that one in the background is out of the nest, still in the tree, but out of the nest. Here is a view from the second camera on the other side of the tree a short time later. Focus your attention right here. One of the babies is just about to fly away. I'm sorry he's so hard to see, hidden behind all those branches and needles. This is the only camera that managed to capture one of the birds flying away for the first time. Here we go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And back to the other camera, just one baby left in the nest now. This one's not very brave. He stayed there for several hours all by himself before he finally left, and unfortunately I did not get it on video. I thought I was going to get it. I tried. I thought he was going to do it right here, but he ended up chickening out and coming back into the nest. And later when he did finally fly out, I'm sorry, I didn't have the camera rolling. Now, this was my first experience with watching baby birds grow up, so I didn't know exactly how it worked. My expectation was that when they flew out of the nest, they pretty quickly learned how to fly, so that they could get up into a tree, off of the ground, so that they would be safe. But that's not actually how it works. At this point, the babies really weren't able to fly. They were able to jump out of the nest, but that was about it. They really couldn't get airborne, so they just stayed on the ground, basically for the next few days. That really surprised me. They hid under trees for safety, and they had no idea how to feed themselves, so Mom just kept bringing food to them. The other thing that surprised me is that the babies didn't stick together. There were two of them that stuck together for a little while, but before long, they each went to their own separate hiding spots. And in fact, two of them actually ended up hiding out in the neighbors' yards. Only one actually stayed in my yard for the next few days. Even after they got better at flying, a few days after leaving the nest, it was basically impossible for me to get video of them flying. This shot right here is about the closest I ever got. So that's the story of the 3 baby robins that were born in our backyard. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button, the thumbs up button. That will tell YouTube that this is a good video that they should recommend to other people. And if YouTube starts recommending it to a lot of other people, the video will get a lot of views, and that's good for me and my channel. If you want to be sure that you catch all my future videos, be sure to subscribe to my channel and turn notifications on so that they let you know when I post something new. I'm Jim Zim. Thanks for watching.